All right, we're going to be doing the solid geometry here of this page number 64. What we're going to do is to first of all copy out these two views, and to do that I first of all need to do some planning. It says drawn to scale 1:1. I need to draw the given front view, a sectional top view, a sectional left view, and the true shape of the cut surface. All right, it is needing to be done as a first angle orthographic projection. So I need a front view, a top view, space for a left view, and space for a true shape. Right. Starting over here, I'm going to draw a XY axis over here, just somewhere over here, little XY axis coming across, label it with an X and a Y. I then come in over here about 5-10 millimeters away from there, and I'm going to draw a construction line coming across over there. I'm going to measure off the 55 millimeters. It's an equilateral triangle, so 55 millimeters. Measure that off over here, 55. I can, if I want to, draw an arc and an arc coming around here, because it'll help me just to locate that point more easily. I can draw in the outside of this thing in construction lines. Please do not draw this in dark straight away, because parts of it are going to be cut away when we do a sectional top view of it. So just in construction lines, I'm using colored pencils to do these construction lines over here. Once I've got that, I need to find the apex of this triangular pyramid. I'm going to take a line coming across at 30 degrees over here, take this down at 30 degrees over here, and obviously that 90 degrees going up over there. You take that up into this drawing. I'm just going to use another color over here, taking these lines up into the front view over here, and I can now draw in the base over here, coming across over there, measuring up over here, that's 74 millimeters. Over there, and I can then draw in this thing. They want you to draw the full front view over here, so you don't need to worry about drawing it in construction lines or anything funny like that. Go straight in there, draw these lines dark. All right. Look where you are standing. You are going to be standing over here. You're going to be looking at this line going up, so I can draw that in dark as well. Okay, very important to start looking at where you are actually standing in this drawing. Once I've got that, I need to draw in the cutting plane over here, and they say that cutting plane is 35 millimeters going up to that point over there. So I measure up that 35 millimeters, draw that in. Knock that 35 mark in there, and this is done at 60 degrees. Take your 0.3 pencil, long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash, long dash, short dash, long dash. Take your 0.7 pencil, and you are going to darken that in and darken that in, and you are then going to write A and A over there. Right, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to look at numbering this thing. I'm going to start over here. I always label the apex of this thing with a 0. Put a 0 at the top over there. You're then going to come over here and go number 1, number 2, number 3. Right. That corner over there is going to be number 1. That corner over there is going to be number 2. That corner over there is going to be number 3. Right. What we're going to quickly do here is to draw the left view of this thing in construction lines. So to do that, I'm going to take a line coming across over here. Very quickly, take a line coming across over here from that front view. I'm going to draw a line coming down over here at 45 degrees from where I'm wanting this left view to start. So somewhere over there. Let's take that up over there. All right. Once I've got that in place, I'm going to take a measurement going across from this view over here, and I can take that up over here like that. This, where that 45 intersects with the XY axis, I can draw in an XY axis over here, going up over there, and I label that with an X and a Y, and I put a 1 and a 1 over there. Right, once I've got that, I'm going to take these measurements across over here, from there across to the 45 over there, and from the apex across to that, and I take that up into my view over here, like that, and like that. Once I've got that, I'm going to just draw in construction lines. Note, I'm doing this in construction lines, not dark just yet. A construction line over there, coming across over here, a construction line coming across there, and I can now draw in a construction line going up to there, a construction line going down to there, like that, and that is the surface that I'd be able to see from the left-hand side of this object. I can take these measurements these numbers over here. 1 and 3 are on that same line coming up over here. This will be number 1 and number 3 on that point. Number 2 coming across and up, there's number 2. Okay, and my 0 is at the top over there. Right, once I've got that, I now start looking at the sectional view of this thing. You're going to see over here that that section line is cutting through 2 lines. How do I know that I am cutting through 2 lines over here? If you take a line coming down over here, I'm just going to use a different color just to make life easier. Taking a line coming down over there, can you see it is cutting through this point? I'm going to call this point A over there, and this point over here B. All right, it cuts through line 1, 3, and it cuts through line 1, 2 over there. A is on 1, 3, B is on 1, 2. Okay, let's just transfer that across into my drawing over here. So I've got A, point A is coming across, going up here, and I've got a point A over there. Note A over there on the cutting plane. B is on that cutting plane over there, and I'm going to take that across into the drawing. There is B coming across and coming up over here, and there is point B. Note how B links up with B over here, A links up with A over there, and you can see how that links up over there. Right. This cutting plane is going to be cutting through this line 2, 0 over here. Okay, so I'm going to come along here, and I'm going to draw a line coming across from that cutting point over there. I'm going to call that point C over there. It cuts across, and I can then put a C over here on the left view. I'm going to drop that down over here onto that 45 and take that across over here to link up with the line 2, 0 over there, and I'm going to call that point C over there. Right, it also cuts through this point over here. I'm going to call it D. D is on 3, 0 over there. I'm going to drop that, I'm going to take that across over here, take that across over here. I can take that down to the 45-degree line. I can take that across over here, and it is going to, take it down from 3, 0. Note 3, 0, there, down to 3, 0. Take that across to 3, 0 over there. And if I've drawn accurately, I should find that that links up exactly with that point over there. So this point over here is going to be point D over there. My point D over here. All right. And once I've got that, I now have a cutting plane. You'll see that D and A, okay, I've got a cutting plane that goes between A and D. Is there anything between those two? No, there isn't. So a line going from A to D. I've got a line that's going from C to D. I've got a line that is going from B to C. I've got a line that is going straight across from A to B over there. All right. I should get exactly the same sort of shape over here. It's obviously going to be a little bit different. I've got a line that goes from A to B over there. I've got a line that goes from B to C over here. I've got a line that goes from C to D over there. And I've got a line that goes from A to D over there. Right, once I've got that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 0.3 pencil and I'm going to hatch those areas. Hatch it as fast as you can. You get marks for this hatching, so do it nice and neatly. Come in over here, and we have now hatched that cutting plane beautifully. And then we're going to have a look and see what it is that we can still see after we have cut away stuff. Right, there's the cutting plane that I would see. If I'm standing over here, little man, I don't have my little man anymore, damn it. Okay, let's have a look at this. I'm going to do the top view first. There's my little eagle flying down over here, and he can touch that top view. All right, in other words, this top part over here has been removed. If that top part has been removed, I can see the cutting plane, but I can still see all of this bottom part still. So I need to draw that part in, and with that, I can then draw in this line going from 2 to 3. That is still very much in the picture. I can draw in this line going from 3 to A. 3 to A over there. I can draw in this line going from 2 to B over here. And I will be able to draw in this little piece of line going from 2 up to C. There's 2 going up to C. I'll be able to draw in this line going from 3 to D over there. And the rest of it has been cut away, so I don't need to draw anything else on that. Right, if I'm a little man, I'm going to have to draw myself in over here. Little man over there. Okay, looking across, I'm pointing at it. If I move across, I'm going to have to touch that picture plane over there. Not picture plane, the cutting plane, which means that this side of this thing has been removed. That's what I'm seeing over there. But what is left of this thing is this back part over here, which means that I need to draw in a line going across from there to there, a line going from there up to there, and this top part over here has been obliterated. All right, it's not there anymore, so you don't need to draw any more than that. Right, there we go. That is that drawing completed as far as the left view and the top view. They then ask you to do a true shape of the cut surface. Right, my method for doing this works like this. I take my page, I take it off, and I'm going to first of all get my ruler lined up on that cutting plane over there. Right, line it up on the cutting plane. Get your masking tape, which you all have because you've been doing the helixes lately, and you should be using it to figure out your helixes. So there we go, masking tape, stick that down. Masking tape, stick that down. Move this down over here to about that point over, about there. And I'm going to draw in an XY axis. XY axis coming across over there. I'm going to label it with an X and a Y. Okay. And from that, I can then take lines coming down over here. Just some construction lines coming down from A and B, from C, and from D over there. Right. Okay, once I've got those measurements, I then come in over here and I say the distance from the XY axis to A is the same distance as the XY axis to the A. And if I take this point from A coming down to this XY axis, guess what? It's going to be the same distance over there to that point A. There is point A on my true shape. I'm then going to say, all right, what is the true length distance, or the distance from the XY axis to B over there? I find B over here. If I come across here, look at that. That distance over there is the same. Coming down over here, guess what? It's going to be the same on this view as well. So the distance from the XY axis to B, it's the same in that view, in that view, and in that view. Note, I'm never taking a measurement from this view over here. I'm always taking it either off this view over here or I could take it off that view over there, okay, to bring it down into this true shape story. Right, going over here, distance from XY axis to C, find C, bring it down over here, mark it off. There is point C over there. Distance from XY axis to D, find D, bring it down into the drawing, mark it off. There is my D over there. And I can now link those points up. Nice dark lines going from D to C. Note this, A and B, if you look at this, A and B are at 90 degrees to the XY axis. Note over here, A and B are 90 degrees to the XY axis. If you look over here, A and B are 90 degrees to the XY axis. All right, if I come over here, I need to take this measurement from C to D, and from D to A over there. And then I'm going to hatch that over here with my 45-degree set square as fast as I can. Whoops, keeps on breaking for some reason. Right, hatch this fast as you can with your 0.3 pencil. Work accurately with this. I don't want to see your hatching going over the lines. So go fast, slow down, stop. Okay, right, I made two of them go over, but that's, once I've done that, I'm going to turn this drawing around. So take it off like that, turn it around, and as soon as I've done that, I'm going to then draw in two little construction lines over here. And I need to write in true shape. T, R, U, E, shape. S, H, A, P, E. Right. Why is it a true shape? Well, if you look at it, if I look at these measurements over here, that length over there is not a true length. That length over there is not a true length. That length over there is not a true length. Okay, the only true length that I will actually have on this will be this line over here, and the reason being is that I've got a point view of AB, and you'll see that that true length is transferred over there, but you'll see over here, these lengths over here are the true lengths, and you'll see that they are normally much longer. Well, yes, they will be much longer than the lengths that you have on these other views over here. CD, you can see over there, it's going to be a little bit shorter on all these other views. Right, there we go. True shape, left sectional view, sectional top view, and that's the drawing complete.